So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iPhone 7 Plus pros and cons after 3 years. So this phone right here has been on the market for that amount of time, and I've owned it basically since it came out. So what I want to do in this video is give you all my pros and cons, and we're going to do this one outside here, have a little bit of fun, switch it up. You can see I got the AirPods Pro in, and I'm canceling out all that noise. Okay, so guys, the first pro has got to be the price. This phone you can now find for up to $300, and yes, it is a little bit old, but because you have the latest software and finding it at that price, this could be a decent budget iPhone choice for you even here in fall 2019. The next pro of buying this phone right now has got to be iOS 13.2. Having the latest software on an iPhone that's a few years old is something you cannot say about so many Android phones having the latest software on your device. And it has a lot of the core features that you will need on an iPhone right now, including the dark mode, which still looks pretty good on the LCD. So I got to say that software, iOS 13.2, this is a huge up for the iPhone 7 Plus right now, and it doesn't feel that much different from even the latest iPhones out there. So big thumbs up there on the software for the iPhone 7 Plus. It's a great experience even right now. Okay, so this next one is gonna be the battery life. I think the battery life for the iPhone 7 Plus is still good. Now you gotta be careful, because if you're buying one of these phones and you're not buying it new, you might get a really low battery capacity, and that can make you think that the 7 Plus has horrible battery life, when really it's just the battery needs a replacement. So do keep that in mind, but I will say that this phone can still get me through a day. It's not going 2 days like a 11 Pro Max can do, but it can definitely get through a day with medium usage. So I think the battery life for the 7 Plus is still good. It's just not great here 3 years later. And for pro number 4, the cameras are more than acceptable. You have a telephoto lens, you can do portrait mode. I'm not disappointed in the camera. In addition, Apple did offer this phone in 128 gigs as well as 256 gigs. So plenty of storage to go ahead and store that video and photo footage on your device. So yes, the camera quality, photos, videos is still good enough here for 2019, although it is not the sharpest thing on the market, as the new iPhones have got deep fusion and all these things that really take it up a notch, no pun intended, for those devices. Okay guys, so my next pro is the performance of the A10 CPU. There's a reason that Apple put the A10 Fusion chip in the new iPad for 2019, the 10.27 gen, and that's because the performance on that chip is actually pretty darn good. So A10 Fusion is enough here for the iPhone 7 Plus, and with 3 gigabytes of RAM, while this phone doesn't feel quite as smooth as the gesture-based iPhones, it's still a functional iPhone, and really, if I was using this as my main iPhone, I really would not be complaining. And the next pro is that Touch ID is still a reliable platform for biometrics. Yes, Face ID did come on the market, and it was a very good alternative to Touch ID, but Touch ID is still a very good option for a lot of people, and it still works incredibly well. You can still authenticate to pay, and I don't think that's really something that's going to bother most people, is using Touch ID. But it does feel a little bit dated compared to the newer Face ID, and there are certain situations where Face ID is better than Touch ID, but I think we can agree on the whole that Touch ID was one of the most favorited, way of unlocking a phone ever for any phone, have you, but it was really good on the 7 Plus, and it was the second generation of it. So thumbs up there. It's still a really decent biometric unlocking system even in 2019, and that's why you still see it on even iPads today, and even on the MacBook Pros. Okay, so this next one is the full HD display on the iPhone 7 Plus. Pretty good sharpness, over 400 ppi on this device, 5.5 inch display, and it's sharper even than the XR and the iPhone 11. So still a solid LCD. It gets relatively bright and has decent contrast ratio. This also does have 3D touch on the device. And I should also mention that the dual speakers are still pretty nice as a pro for the iPhone 7 Plus. I mean, again, this was one of the first iPhones to have that on board. So the 7 Plus did usher in a lot of new features for iPhone, and in 2019, having dual speakers is something that I gotta say is still very welcome. Having a single speaker on a phone this year is just not cool. Like, it sounds really good when you have 2 speakers, and if you were to get yourself a 7 Plus now, you would definitely have that. Although they're not the loudest on the market, they are still very decent and serviceable speakers for the 7 Plus. Although this is the phone that also ushered out the headphone jack, but with AirPods now, with we have Lightning headphones in the box, there's plenty of ways. You got dongles even. There's plenty of ways, and cheap Bluetooth headphones everywhere. Amazon, all kinds of retailers sell them. Okay, so let's get on to the cons. The first con, I think you know what this is already. The dated, thick bezels, huge bezels actually, dated design, looks like iPhone 6 Plus even from years back. So this design is just no in 2019. It's just not the best looking thing on the market, and I think most would agree that would be one of the main reasons why you wouldn't buy an iPhone 7 Plus now. Hey guys, so the next con is resale value. You can't really resell the iPhone 7 Plus for much of anything anymore. So if you were to get one now, I'd say that's a con, because you're not really going to get any money back out of that device, which is not cool. So if you're gonna buy it to use it as a tool. Don't buy this phone anymore because you think, oh, I'm gonna get money back on this Apple device. That only applies for the first couple of years to the first few years. It's pretty much not gonna net you much back if you do buy it now. So con number 4 is we're halfway through the software support cycle of the iPhone 7 Plus, which means that you're not going to get software updates for 4 or 5 years. You might get 2 to 3 left on this device. And while that's still plenty enough, I do think that this could be a con, because a lot of people that buy iPhones want to keep them for a very long time. And at this point, you're already halfway through the cycle of the 7 Plus. So this could be a con right now in 2019. So con 5 is the LCD panel. Most of the premier iPhones now have OLED screens, and I said it was a pro that it's a full HD display, which it is. But the actual technology being LCD, this was the most premium iPhone when it came out, is not the nicest display anymore. You can get budget devices like Pixel 3a that have OLED displays. So this is not the best display type on the market, although it is plenty sharp. So the next con is that it can't do 4K on the front like we're recording right now with the iPhone 11. The iPhone 7 Plus is just not capable of doing this on the front-facing camera. So if you guys do want to get the best quality from the front-facing video and doing vlogs like that, you're gonna have to stick to 1080 on the front of that device, which is a little bit disappointing. But still, you can use the back camera if you want better video recording quality. Okay, guys, and my last con is that no gestures. It just feels a little bit older to use this device. It feels like classic Apple. It's not a bad thing, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like a 2019 smartphone, and it shouldn't. I mean, it isn't a 2019 smartphone, duh, Nick, but at the same time, if you buy this phone now, don't expect to have gestures. Most phones in 2019 have gestures, so it just doesn't feel as modern because of that. And that brings me on to the conclusion of this video. So the iPhone 7 Plus, I think, is a steal for 200 to 300 bucks as maybe a secondhand phone or maybe a side phone. Maybe if you're just looking for a budget iPhone as your first iPhone, it could be a decent option right now, and a lot better than the options we had a few years ago. Like if you're looking for a budget iPhone in 2016, that would be like a 5S, which was nowhere near as good as the iPhone 7 Plus. That's it. That's all I have for today. Let me know if you guys like this vlog style video or outside talking, just one-on-one things like that. But I thought about it today. I was like, 7 Plus, man, it's still a decent phone right now, and I seen them on eBay for 200 bucks. I seen one for 199. I'm like, I paid like $975 for this device. So let me know your thoughts. Did you trade your 7 Plus? Are you planning on picking up one secondhand? Are you tired of it? Do you have it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you just so over it? This phone is just goodbye. We're done with this device, even though it's still supported. Let us know down below in the comment section. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well, and peace.